As we move out of lockdown, it's going to be possible to start picking up our social lives again, albeit with changes for the foreseeable future. Some of us are desperate to do so, but others will be nervous about doing so and going back into public, crowded spaces or unable to do so because of their situations. If you are part of a social group doing an activity together, try and plan ways for people who aren't ready for face-to-face meeting to still take part. We may have become comfortable in our own space and with our own company under lockdown restrictions. It's been intense in all sorts of ways, and we might really have to push ourselves to reconnect with people and overcome initial awkwardness. Whether it's feeling uncomfortable not wearing a mask anymore or feeling odd to suddenly see people in large groups again, take things at your own pace. Even if government advice is to no longer socially distance or to wear a mask, you can decide on what suits you best. That also goes for our children's friendships. Many children have been desperate to see friends, but all families are making sense of the changes. Going back to school will bring new pressures, and it's important to make an extra effort to support our children getting back into school routine and picking up friendships. If we are in a vulnerable group, it's likely that as others around us start to emerge from lockdown and start to do things that we miss, we may feel more isolated and less able to resist pressure to reduce lockdown measures. There's a real risk that employers, school businesses, and friends and family will be less able to relate and support as the lockdown releases for others. Remember that rules and guidelines vary depending on who you are and where you live. Fear and anxiety are possibly the most common emotional responses any of us will feel as we approach the release from lockdown. Finding a way to pull ourselves through lockdown took a lot of our emotional energy, and we may have found a place that lets us cope and that we don't want to leave behind just yet. It's important to acknowledge that these feelings are reasonable and to expect them. It's only by building up tolerance gently that we can move through these fears. If possible, take things at your own pace, but try and challenge yourself to try something different each day, or even couple of days. It's very easy to allow the seclusion that was necessary in lockdown to become deliberate isolation as lockdown ends. Celebrate small wins and big wins, and try and keep a note of what you are achieving. Take the time to reflect on what makes you feel comfortable. If you don't feel quite ready to return to normality, that is perfectly fine. Fear and anxiety are possibly the most common emotional responses any of us will feel as we approach the gradual relaxation of lockdown restrictions. Finding a way to pull ourselves through lockdown took a lot of our emotional energy, and we may have found a place that lets us cope and that we sometimes don't want to leave behind just yet. It's important to acknowledge that these feelings are reasonable and to expect them. Recognizing that you need to go at the right pace for you is important. Don't let others bully or pressure you into doing things you don't want to, but try not to let that be an excuse not to push yourself, especially when it comes to reconnecting with friends safely outside your home when rules allow and the time is also right for you. It can be hard to let others move forward without you, Maybe your child wants to see friends or needs to return to work, but you can't. It's important to discuss concerns with those close to you, but also to allow other people space to move at their own pace. Try and challenge yourself to try something different each day or every couple of days. It's very easy to allow the seclusion that was necessary in lockdown to become deliberate isolation as lockdown ends. Don't beat yourself up if it doesn't go well, but keep at it. Keep a note of things you've achieved, enjoyed, or surprised yourself doing. There are a lot of things you can't control that cause you fear and anxiety, but there are some things you can manage or plan for. Having an action plan for managing things you might find difficult can help. Try and vary your routines so that you see different people and encounter different situations. If one supermarket makes you nervous, try another. If a walk at one time of day is very busy, try mixing walks at busy times with walks at quieter times. Many workplaces are allowing more flexible working even if people need to return. If you are finding it hard to get to work or do particular shifts or activities because of fear or anxiety, speak to your manager or a colleague you trust if that feels right. If you have or have had long-term mental health problems, you may be entitled to reasonable adjustments, even if you haven't disclosed before. If it feels safe to do so now, you might be able to benefit from doing so. You can only do your best with what you have today to deal with feelings of uncertainty. With regulations changing frequently and lots of conflicting media discussions, try and keep a focus on the moment. Whilst a lot of things are uncertain at the moment, there are also things to be hopeful about. Try to record and appreciate good things as they happen. Try and take opportunities to reset and relax. It's important to talk about how you feel. Don't dismiss your concerns or judge yourself too harshly. You may also be able to find your tribe online, but try and get outside perspectives too.